just sitting on the farm, cracking up an ice cold Diet Coke. Diet Coke sponsor us.
Diet Coke, please sponsor us. Or Diet Dr. Pepper. We are Southern, and we will take Diet Dr. Pepper as well.
Is that a Southern
and
thing?
my combo with the Diet Dr. Pepper is Coffee Zen, 6 milligram, by the way.
That seems kind of high.
That's the average amount. Like
Okay.
the low one is 3. The low one is 3.
Gotcha.
And we make fun of people that use 3s, by the way.
Oh, okay, good to know.
We do not condone 3s. And if I see you popping one in and you're not double upper decking, then we're gonna have a problem.
You put it up top, really?
Yeah, I do up top. That's what they say to do on the can. I bounce back and forth.
He's a rule follower. We know this about him.
Yeah, everybody knows that. And I take my Zendayas very seriously.
Oh,
you
God.
know, my Osama Bin Ladens.
I can't make fun of you because I got my little electronic this thingy.
Yeah, well, let's just put a PSA out there because I've been doing some Zen for a little bit.
Have you?
Really?
For the past, since the Super Bowl, I have been. And nicotine is, I just remember why I like dipping so much, you know, and it was just it's the oral fixation and the ritual and the nicotine itself. So like, I mean, it's I can fall right back into this. So you guys keep me in check with nicotine, but like I get it, you know. And honestly, it fucking is good.
Look, there's no. I don't care what anyone says. There's no negative sides to nicotine. All right, there's
Andrew
just not.
Andrew Huberman, the famous like neuroscientist, has a podcast. I don't know if you like ever listen to Huberman Lab.
No.
He's pretty pro nicotine. He's like, nicotine as a substance is like pretty good for you as long as you obviously don't abuse it.
Yeah,
right, take the tobacco out of it, right?
Yeah,
how's it
what this is?
How's it any different than caffeine? Like it's the same type of chemical, right?
Yeah. I mean, my approach is from an addict standpoint because it's just habit forming. It's ritualistic, and it's very much like having dipped for so long and not dipped, and then tried this again. I can mentally see the places where I would want to do this, like put a Zen in and watch a movie, or put a Zen in cruise, or put a Zen not in the shower though. Doesn't dipping much better in the shower? Zen not in the
you don't
shower.
have to spit with Zens. That's why
I know, and mentally it does fuck with you having dipped for so long, and then you're just swallowing everything.
True.
But effects, I would give it A.
All right, well, Zen definitely sponsor us. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's Totally Biased Music. It's Blake and Trey and Anthony. And today we're doing a TBM first, and I'll let Trey intro it here in a second. We are not doing an album. We are doing a live show, and then we are reviewing Inside Man, which was an Anthony movie pick. Sticking with our heist theme that we've been on for the second week now, and I'm going to keep the train rolling, just as a little spoiler alert. So, Trey, tell us about the show, why the show, which set of the show. Give us the deets.
So, TBM first. So today we're actually reviewing a live show. The show that I selected was Phill and Friends 1999. For me, this is like kind of one of those like comfort things I'll throw on after a night of being out and seeing music. There's 3 nights of this. They're all on YouTube. Surprisingly great quality from 1999 from a video standpoint, and excellent sound quality from all of these. So whoever uploaded these, thank you. But so this show is kind of famous in like jam circles for being one of the best versions of the post-Jerry Dead. Phill and Friends took on probably hundreds of different lineups over the last 20 years. And this is one of the early incantations. And it was right after Phill had like a liver transplant, which he like talked about very openly for the rest of his life. He was like a big time advocate for organ donation. That was like a big thing that he like consistently held fundraisers for. But it was the first time, the first major time that anyone from Phish had sat in with the Dead, because for a long time, Phish wanted to kind of distance themselves from the Dead as far as, like riding in their coattails or being in their shadow, just because they wanted to do their own thing. But Phish had hit a point in the late 90s where they were so big, they clearly had established their own corner of the musical universe. And for me, Phish and the Dead could not be more different sonically. Like, their sound is entirely different. Phish is, psychedelic jazz, improvisational rock music, whereas the Dead kind of centered more around like bluegrass and soul and blues. Still quite psychedelic, and like still obviously they both do a lot of improv. But just, and then also from a songwriting perspective, in my opinion, the Dead songbook is probably one of the greatest American cultural donations to the world.
Yeah.
And their songwriting is just absolutely excellent. Whereas Phish doesn't really focus as much on songwriting. Now they have some really great songs, but like from a lyrical perspective, I think the Dead just outpace Phish in a lot of different ways. So this show or these shows were this like it's the best of both worlds. And I think Paige sat in on some Phill and Friends later down the road. Trey sat in, obviously, with Dead & Co. For the Fare Thee Well 50, which caused a lot of like controversy is too heavy of a word, but some people didn't like that as much. Some classic Deadheads didn't love that as much. But here, there's no controversy with these shows. Like these are just absolutely amazing. There's some points where, and then Steve Kimmick or Kimmock, however you pronounce his name. He's an absolute, like, he's just a West Coast, like, ripper, who has also made a career off of, playing the Dead. And the way that Trey, and we can get into this later, but the way that Trey and Steve play off each other, like, Steve never really is truly playing rhythm guitar, kind of in a similar but different way that Bobby doesn't really play rhythm guitar in your typical way. And then Phill is just driving the train the whole time. Phill has a lot more singing parts in these shows than he typically would, and he did that with a lot of different Phill and Friends things. But first off, rest in peace, Phill Lesh. And I thought it'd be nice to kind of see Phill when he was a little bit more in his prime, because I mean, like late '80s, early '90s, Phill with the Dead was amazing, and Phill with Phill and Friends here is also absolutely fantastic. So I chose night 2. Set 2, just because y'all made me pick a set, because I picked night 2 initially, but I just like no real reason other than there's a couple highlights I wanted to look at. So like the Prince Caspian is one that I wanted y'all to listen to. And
the date is 4/16/99, by the way, for anybody looking.
4/16/99. Yeah, the Prince Caspian and the Scarlet Begonias are two highlights of the whole run. So I wanted y'all to hear those. That's when I had to pick a set. That's kind of what led me to that. And also night 2, set 2 is kind of like the peak of a run,
True.
So what'd y'all think? Had you listened to this set before? Obviously we've talked about the Dead a lot on this show, or podcast or whatever. So yeah, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I just want to say that for many, many episodes now, for anybody watching, I have always worn a Dead hat and had my Phish posters in the background. So this is really a time to shine. No, I hadn't listened to this show before. I hadn't really listened to much Phill and Friends, to be honest. Yeah, man, what a blast from the past. Like so many highlights in this second set. And I'll wait until I get into top songs, but there's just some, songs that for others are probably super cliche, but like I'm kind of a cliche guy when it comes to Phish and Dead, and I'm okay with that, and like my favorite Dead and Phish songs are not like deep cuts. They're not like unpopular songs, and I'm cool with that. So I really loved, having Bertha and Chalk Dust Torture in here. But yeah, it was great, man. And Trey, like we've said this before with Trey Anastasio, and I'll echo it until he passes away, which I hope never happens, but inevitably it will. But Trey, in my mind, is the best living guitarist. Like the dude fucking rips. He has always ripped, and there's some real highlights in this show, and that was kind of the highlight for me throughout listening to the second set was just Trey being Trey, man. And he's such a gem, such a talent. And look, Trey's voice, is kind of an acquired taste, which we've talked about on this show with other artists before, and like Trey said, their lyrics are kind of goofy sometimes. Taste, yes. Right? But like, I think this was maybe I think it might have been 2 New Years ago. I was watching the webcast, and I remember texting Trey and my friend Sam and being like, Phish is like, in my mind, and this may be controversial, but Phish is just like so far ahead of the Grateful Dead, in my opinion, in the sense that like Trey's right, they're rock music, right? And the Grateful Dead to me is not rock music and never has been. And I think that like musically, Phish is just miles ahead of whatever the Dead achieved before they became different iterations of it. Now, I know that's obviously up for debate and probably controversial, and I love the Grateful Dead and probably listen to them more regularly, but watching Phish live, man, there's nothing like it. You know, no Dead & Co. show has ever really made me feel the way I felt in Vegas when I saw Phish both nights, and special band, and it's great to see the two of them come together. So we'll get into top songs later, but Anthony, what do you think?
So I wanted to ask you, Blake, did you listen to the first set of this or just set two? I couldn't help myself just when I saw the first set, the set list.
I tried.
No, I only listened to set two. I listened to set two twice.
Gotcha. Ooh. Well, I mean, it's all good, you know, and this is, so when I was driving for my dad for a while, I was listening to old Grateful Dead sets. Never got a chance to go into Phill and Friends or any of the other iterations of the Dead, but this lineup is super fucking cool because Steve Kimmock was an artist who I discovered out listening to music on the river and never really connected the two for a long time, like the Dead and Steve Kimmock's history. But listening to him and this, I mean, the way that these guys create conversations with their music, they never overpower each other, and it's very balanced, but the way that each of them shines is just super, super special. I had a 3-song combination from the first set. The first set is crazy, but Wish You Were Here, they covered Wish You Were Here, Into Tennessee Jed, into Stella Blue. I just circled it and wrote Dreamland next to it because the lighting is just so low. The music is very soft, but it's just so hypnotic and draws you in. But like these guys together, I mean, they just make magic. And I think that's the beauty of the Grateful Dead music, is that with all of the different faces, because I mean, they rarely had the same lineup for more than 4 years, I think, just because keyboarders alone.
Yeah.
But just to do something like this and have it continue forever, like it will, as long as there's humans, there will be Grateful Dead music being played somewhere, and it'll be celebrated. And I think this is just a really cool hybridization of all those different histories of music coming into one. Because, you know, me, admittedly, not a huge Phish fan, but also really haven't listened to a lot of Phish. But what they've created here is magic, and I think it's an excellent pick, and I think it is a really great showcase of Phill Lesh, and Phill Lesh's influence just will forever ripple out. Pun intended on that.
Hey.
But yeah, so I didn't know how we were going to do bottom tracks, so maybe y'all can clear it up if y'all really want to say how we picked bottoms or what, because like I said, I get lost in these sets, and for me, that again is the magic of this music, is that you don't have to consciously think, oh man, next song, because there's just blending throughout this. So awesome pick, Trey.
I will say that I'm glad we only did the second set, because Tennessee Jed is my favorite Grateful Dead song and has been since I got into Grateful Dead, and I never get tired of hearing that song. Stella Blue is also in the top 3, so it would have been fucking like and I love Wish You Were Here. Like that's one of my favorite Pink Floyd songs, so it would have been gut-wrenchingly hard for me to pick throughout the whole show. So I'm glad that we did set 2, but just know if we did the full thing, those 3 were probably going to be on
there. In sequence too.
Well, so. And you kind of talk about like those 3 to get like the guys that are on stage, like they have the ability to absolutely just burn the house down at any given point, and like showing that like patience and reservation, and restraint over those 3 songs. And you talk about the lighting. I love the way the show is lit. Like it is, it's like really an orchestra show where it's just like there's lights on stage and they're just like you're just watching the band. You know, obviously,
and Donna Jean is worth mentioning too. You know,
Donna Jean sounds great. Donna Jean sounds great in these shows, and I think her voice complements Trey's voice and Phil's voice a lot better than it complements Jerry's.
Yeah.
In some ways, obviously, I'm not gonna. But like she sounds really, really good, and that isn't always the case. I'm not like very overpowering. I'm not a Donna hater. Too. Yeah, I'm not a Donna hater, but yeah, no, she does sound really good in these.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Blake, you want to go into your top tracks?
Yeah. So, sorry, let me pull them up. I had a really difficult time, so I'll start with 3. I had a really difficult time with this, and it was between Prince Caspian and the 11. But I had to pick the 11 because holy fucking guitar, man. Like, Jesus Christ, what a face melter this shit is. Yeah. And so it's Kimok, is that how you pronounce it?
Sure.
I've rarely been told his name, only read it a lot. Yeah. So that's my guess.
I mean, just absolutely fucking ripping, like straight from the beginning. I mean, the beginning of the song is like 3 minutes of just, oh man, what I would have given to be at a set like this, you know, like just I can picture when Trey goes on these, and John doesn't do it as much at Dead & Co shows because, you know, it's a lot more laid back and bluesy. There are times where he rips, and just watching the crowd, seeing the energy, like there's something, as much as I love hip hop music and bass music and all this stuff, nothing will ever match that energy to me of a guitar and a fucking ripper solo, man. And man, what a gem this song is. So I had 11 as the 11 as number 3. Number 2 for me, like I said, cliche, Chalk Dust Torture. I just don't get tired of hearing this song. Like, you know, and there are songs like, I'm the same way with Pretty Lights and I Know the Truth. You know, I'm still not tired of hearing I Know the Truth, and I know Trey is. So I just love Chalk Dust Torture, and like I thought it was really cool that, you know, Trey got to do a Phish song in the Phill and Friends show. Like I like that it was not just dead covers, that he got to kind of have his moment. They got to join in on that, and I think just the fact that they gave him the chance to do that was really cool. And Chalk Dust Torture, I'm assuming, was huge at the time. So great song to throw in there. And then number 1 for me is Bertha. Fucking love Bertha. And I've seen multiple Dead & Co shows where I've probably seen, like, I don't know, around 15 of them at this point. And like, I would say half of the time I get a Bertha. And again, another song that just, like, it just picks the energy up in the crowd. Everybody loves it. Everybody gets into it. It's a dance song and makes people happy. And you can see people on the floor spinning around, twirling, dancing, and having a great time. And there's always just such a great energy with Bertha. And I love the lyrics, man. Bertha, get the fuck out of here. We don't want you around anymore. You know, it's time for you to go. Okay. So, and I thought, like, one of the really interesting things that my dad said after he saw Dead & Co for the first time was it's hard hearing Bob sing Jerry's songs. And I thought that was really weird that he had said that. And I thought I was going to feel the same way listening to Trey. But honestly, like, hearing him sing Bertha, I don't know, man. Like, it worked, you know, and it sounded very Jerry-esque to me. Like, obviously no one has his voice, but I thought just all the pieces, all of them together for Bertha was fantastic. So those are my top 3.
Do you want to play a section of the guitar from the 11? Because I have a timestamp for you. If
right
you want
at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, dude, yeah. The way they start trading licks, like a minute. I got 151.29.
Sorry, say that again.
Between him and Steve.
151.29.
151.29. All right, hang on one second. Let's do, to share audio, do entire screen instead. Screen 2, also share audio, share. So you said 151.29.
You're right. Next to 30, 32 is fine. We'll see how this comes out in post, but like, dude, their guitar tone just matches so perfectly, like, and they're just trading notes back and forth.
Yeah, very sick. Nice.
There is a really cool kind of like introduction with Paige McConnell and Trey in the Franklin's Tower, which is kind of like they Help on the Way opens the first set of this night, but the second track, Franklin's Tower, really is like just those two playing together on stage. It's again the swaps and the rotations. It is just so fucking cool because the combinations are endless and they're just master musicians, all of them.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of if Trey's the lightning, Page is the thunder. And I don't mean that from like a sonic way, like bass versus
definitely
high. That's not what
lyric.
I mean. I just mean like they're both coming at you. You know what I mean? Like they're coming at you like one after the other, and they do that obviously with Fish, but it's really cool. Like I think Page shines really, really bright in like this entire set. There's some moments like Blake talked about Bertha. But like Bertha has like I have it clocked at like 127, where Page is just like taking like pure piano. Let me see if I can play that. Today's a little
real
different.
time production.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll figure it out.
Let's just do.
Which track is this again? Is this gonna be Bertha?
This is Bertha, and then what were my notes? Bertha 127.30.
Yeah. Left.
Yeah, thank you. That's how time works.
Bertha, don't you come around here anymore.
All right.
Now you're still in Prince Caspian. There you go.
I don't know how numbers work.
Donna.
He's also just a vibe. Can you hear this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Bertha, don't you come around here anymore. Instrumental.
Phill calling out instrumental. So yeah, Anthony, you want to go into your top tracks from there?
Well,
but yeah,
I want to mention Phill calling out right there. You heard him say like, "Let's go with the instrumental." So like that is some like behind, like what do they say, inside baseball or some shit? I don't know. Behind the scenes shit about the intercommunication between these guys on stage, and half the time they're not able to vocally communicate, and this was always my like example of real world telepathy. Where like these guys know where they're going with this music, and to be able to do that in a live setting night after night. I mean, these guys, their brains are intertwined musically. I think the greatest bands are that. Fish is that. Papadozio does that. Sound Tribe does that. These exploratory bands, they really shine when no one in the crowd knows where they're going, but these guys just have a feel and a sense, and they can get to their destination. Pretty Lights Live Band is doing it right now. So I mean, it's a really cool like snapshot in time to hear Phill say that on mic. So super fucking cool. But yeah, I'll go into my top tracks. Number 3, I have the set 2 closer, Fire on the Mountain. I mean, that song is a great way to close out a set, and it's probably the song that people are going to be singing on their way out of the building too. All it takes is one person to just say fire, fire on the, and then it just goes. So love that closer, and Scarlet Begonias into that is a classic combination. Number 2, I have the 11. I love this song. This song there's a lot of cool shit in the original version of this song. So written by Robert Hunter, but when performed live, in these later years, they don't typically sing the vocals. It's just more of a jam session, and it's beautifully done. And I was always curious about that. And when you break down the way that the original's being actually sung, it's so fucking cool, because it is like kind of what we're describing about the band, the musicians playing together. You'll get one vocalist singing a line solo, then another one, and then a different pair and a different solo. And it's just super fucking cool. And I found this article on dead.net, and I wanted to read this to you guys because it's a really cool quote by the author, who is David Dodd. And he says that the 11 epitomizes the sense of the swirl better than any other single piece. The composition, credited to Phill Lesh, rushes headlong into its 11-beat time signature, carrying us madly along as we dance into its various combinations of meter. And that quote is just so interesting because it captures the magic, but also the genius behind the structure of a song like that. I've always loved that song and always would. I've not seen it live and obviously couldn't see it the way it's intended, but I always dread potentially being at a Dead & Co show and hearing the 11, knowing I may not hear the vocals because the vocals are just poetic. It's just so fucking cool.
It's kind of like when they only play one verse of Dark Star.
Yeah, exactly. Like talking about just like Edge, like, oh my gosh, like give me what I really want. But the 11 is my number 2 track. My number 1 track is got to be Ripple. I mean, Ripple is just, it's beautiful. It's Phill Lesh's, his heart on a song. And perfect way to close out this night. And I don't know, are you familiar if this was a 3-night run or a 2-night?
It's a 3-night run.
So this is in the middle. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. But still, I mean, you got people coming back the next night.
Oh crap, I forget what they closed with for the 3rd one, but it was also very pretty.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, spot on with all of this.
Yeah. So let's see what you got. Top tracks.
So this is one of those nights where we all got different tracks. So in no particular order, I have Scarlet Begonias as one of my top tracks. And really it's kind of Scarlet going into Fire, but I felt like that was cheating. But the way that, like, once again, just Trey and Kimmick, like, trading licks and going back and forth, I think is just really, really cool. Also Trey's vocals, like, match the key of that song very well. Like, say what you want about Trey Anastasio's voice, I think it's beautiful, and I think everyone who doesn't like it can
I think it fits the narrative of the Grateful Dead. Grateful Dead is folk. I mean, it's very Americana, and that is Trey in reality.
Exactly.
I think it's a beautiful blend.
So Scarlet's not there. I also have. I guess we're not going to go too different. I also have Chalk Dust Torture as one of mine. First off,
nice.
Chalk Dust Torture is a phenomenal song. It was like the first Phish song where I was like, oh, this is cool. This isn't just something that Adam Hauser's playing to me while we're smoking weed. As a matter of fact, I had a very psychedelic experience while listening to the song. I was in the parking lot of Copper Beach. Blake, you remember that place? Anthony, I think you visited.
Yes, very, very fondly.
And it was like raining, and we were like coming up on whatever we had taken. And it was raining. We were sitting right under a street light, and the water droplets were hitting the windshield and just like expanding as rain just does in normal life. But it was a particularly interesting expansion of rain droplets while like an old Chalk Dust Torture was just blaring. And this last week when I went to Auburn, I pulled in that exact same parking spot to meet my uncle to hand him something. And I told him that, which in retrospect might not have been the smartest thing to tell a family member, but I was like, yeah, I had a really strong acid trip right here one time. Like, look, it was the exact same parking spot, which I thought was really funny.
Very nice.
Yeah. So
we're at that age and time in life. We can share those stories
exactly. now. So that was interesting. And then my number 1 or whatever is, and I'm actually going to share my screen again, is St. Stephen. St. Stephen and Dark Star for me are like the pinnacle of psychedelic Grateful Dead lyrics and just like song in general. But I wanted to call out, just as we're talking about the man himself, Phill Lesh driving the show is really on display here. It's like he just kind of takes this bass line and like leads this entire jam with it. So let me get that pulled up. So this is St. Stephen from Phill and Friends, 1999. See how I did that with like a radio voice?
Yeah.
Like that?
God in the wind and the rain, wherever he goes, the people all complain.
Like Phill plays that bass line, then Kimmick comes back in with that rhythm guitar. Oh.
Stephen and gospel in his time. Well, he may and he may decline.
So yeah, that is one of my top songs, and it's always Phill Lesh was a phenomenal person and bass player, and rest in peace.
It's human.
All the things.
So those are top tracks. I'll start out with my bottom tracks. It's pretty easy. The only reason that I have this as a bottom track is just because I've just never really particularly like this song. It's kind of a deep cut. But I think Phill did write the song, and it's Mountains of the Moon. The only reason I really don't like it is just because of the set placement. I feel like they were on a really high energy here, after Chalk Dust, and then they kind of go back into that really high energy with Scarlet. And I just, I don't love that lull, but they did it for a reason. So that's my one bottom track. I think that's fair. Just the only tracks we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 songs, 10 songs here. So, it's over half the set that we're critiquing.
Yeah. That's fair, I guess. This is 2 weeks in a row you've cheated, but that's fine.
I broke the rule.
Okay, well, I'll give you 3, and reason why is because 2 of them I may have heard Prince Caspian before. So these are just caveats of the 2 Fish tracks, Prince Caspian and Chalk Dust Torture. Goodness, and then Mountains of the Moon. I also put that on there too. Just not one of my favorite Grateful Dead tracks, really, and haven't listened to it a whole lot. So those 3.
Fair.
I had Saint Stephen because while you are correct, Trey, it's too short, man. It's like 3 minutes. I needed more. Like we have a fucking 15-minute the 11, and they're like, let's just carve out like 30 seconds for Saint Stephen, and then we'll just go back into other stuff. So, wish they would have had more there. And then like another hot take Blake today. Scarlet Begonias, like, I don't know, man. I've just never been a fan of this song. I'll be completely honest.
You just hate love, dude. Hate love.
True. I'm just not a lover boy. I'm a sad boy, so I don't want to hear all this lover shit in my house. And just not a huge fan. So those are my 2. So I don't really count that as cheating. 2 is the threshold.
Oh, okay. That doesn't really feel fair.
No, also let's and Mountains of the Moon. Yeah, always hated that track. Yeah, very bad. Number 3.
Very bad. Not good.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's. What ratings do? I don't know what time we're at now because my shit is all fucked up.
We're good. We're right where we need to be.
Yeah, we're at 40. We're 10:43.
Okay. What rating do you guys get? Are we gonna do a rating? Should we do that? Rating for the set?
It's for the sake of continuity. Might as well.
I'm gonna give it a 10.
I knew somebody would.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a perfect 10 out of 10. I think this is pinnacle, both post Jerry Dead, as well as kind of Fish in '99. This was right before. I don't know if y'all know this, but Cypress Hill, the Fish show on New Year's Eve, was the biggest live concert ever by one single band.
Damn,
and this was right before that happened. They played for almost, I think, like 8 hours straight, pretty much.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Where was that at?
It was in Florida. Cypress Gardens, I think, is what it's called.
Oh, I thought you said Cypress Hill, like in reference to the band.
Cypress Hill.
I'm like,
it's called Big
Cypress Hill would be insane.
Yeah, the second show lasted from midnight until dawn. Yeah. So it's 7 hours plus, midnight to sunrise. Sunrise around 7 a.m. They just played the whole time. Widely regarded as one of the best fish. But anyway, this is like right before they'd done all that, or the same year they'd done all that. They were like peaking. You want to talk about Trey Nasosky being the greatest guitar player in the world? Like, this is when Trey was in the best guitar playing shape of his life and could just go machine gun Trey at any moment. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for me.
Very nice. Anthony?
I just have to mention this because it was brought up twice. Buckethead is the greatest guitarist alive. I put it out there.
Okay.
But back to this topic at hand. So I give this set, because just a set, 8.5 out of 10. I look at the whole show. I mean, Grateful Dead shows, I'm always going to leave super happy and excited. But the set alone, 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm pretty much in line with that. I give it an 8. Very solid, very sick, great throwback, great pick, Trey. I thought it was, It was nice to do something new.
You were a little testy.
I was a little testy when you said 3 hours. That was a little much, but 1 hour.
This is a little more digestible.
Definitely more digestible, and some great songs. And I need to go back and listen to set one for sure.
Would highly recommend listening to the whole run. Great to work out to, great to do stuff around the housework too. Great to have sex too. Great to do anything too, really.
Mm-hmm. Do you do any of those things?
I exercise. Yeah, I do. I do go to the gym. Yep, I do. The other two things, not as much.
All right, that's fair.
Sex, please sponsor us.
Sex, please help me. Okay, well that was Phill and Friends. 4/16/99 is the date. If you want to go listen to the set, we highly recommend it. All right, let's get into rides or dies. Who wants to lead us off?
I'll go first.
Let me pull Spotify so I can.
So I picked a song. The song that I picked was "Never Ending Math Equation" by Sun Kill Moon. This is actually a cover of a Modest Mouse song. Did I can't remember. I was thinking about this all day. Did I tell y'all about the coffee shop girl that I've been in love with that sent me the playlist?
Yeah, y'all collaborated on his playlist. Is that
a little extreme, but yeah.
The in love with part? No, it's not. So this is off of her playlist. I found this band called Sun Kill Moon. They're kind of like in the folk realm, but I know y'all probably don't love the song, but I really do. I like kind of the calmness of when it's a Modest Mouse song, it's very, very chaotic, and I like that they kind of took it and made it like this very calm, almost like ballad type situation. So, what did y'all think?
Anthony, you lead us off because I got a dog climbing on shit that shouldn't be.
I really enjoyed it, dude. I mean, when you, Trey, send a song called "Never Ending Math Equation," I'm very paying attention. But I ironically listened to it for the first time while the lyrics were playing, and I love some of these lyrics in here. Infinity spirals out creation on the tip of its tongue. Man, my tongue has been tied this entire episode, but super fucking cool. I did not know it was a Modest Mouse song, and very interested to compare the two because Modest Mouse was a band I really wanted to like, and just never hooked me in. But to hear their music in a different interpretation was really interesting. So it definitely rides for me. But did you get to listen to any of this album that this is off of?
So the album this is off of is actually all Modest Mouse covers.
Really?
Yeah. So if you've had a hard time getting into Modest Mouse, maybe listen to this. But yeah, I mean the lyric. Yeah, Modest Mouse, especially. This is this is from that album in '99. I forget what the name of the album.
No.
The Lonesome Crowded West, maybe. But yeah, the lyrics from this, I mean, there's a lyric that's like, the universe works on a math equation that never even ever ends in the end.
Yeah,
Infinity spirals out creation. Yeah, I mean, it's extremely heady shit.
Yeah.
We love heady. Yeah, I didn't really know how to feel about this song. I didn't know if I liked it. I didn't know if I disliked it. I'm giving it a rides because I feel like the way we should treat rides or dies is if it doesn't die, it rides. It shouldn't be the other way around.
That's fair.
Where if it doesn't ride, you automatically give it a dies. If you're on the fence, I think we should be more optimistic and lean towards a ride. So
this is I'm gonna give it innocent until proven guilty situation.
Right.
Must ride if it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. Must ride if it does not die.
If the glove does not ride,
I don't know. It must die.
It must die. Yes.
Nice.
But yeah, I'll have to give it a few more listens. But I mean, I enjoyed most of it. So
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Anthony, what do you got?
All right. So this song is called "Contact High" by this group or this band called Octave Cat. I had never heard of Octave Cat before. And this song came on a shuffle playlist. I forget what artist I was shuffling, but it really piqued my interest into them because this was the only thing I had heard, and it's a really sick kind of minute and a half jam. But then when I listened to the album that this is off of, I really didn't like it as a whole. It was literally like a diamond in the rough for me, but I had to bring it because it's just a song that I wanted you guys to hear. But again, I was really torn because this really just set my expectations so high. And then when I listened to the album, I wasn't really into it. But to know that they're capable of doing something like this is so fucking sick. So I really enjoyed it and figured see what you guys think. Trey, what'd you think?
So Octave Cat is a side project of Dopapod and Lotus.
Interesting.
Well,
that makes sense.
Dopapod doesn't make music anymore. They quit last year. They played their last shows on New Year's Eve. But so it's the bass player from Lotus, and then I think the guy who plays keys for Dopapod, who's awesome. Yeah. And then a drummer that's from neither of the bands, so it's like a trio.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they're cool. I like this song a lot. I've never really listened to much of their music. The only reason that I know that is they announced the show. They're playing in Asheville in like mid-April.
Octave Cat show?
Yeah, but they're also playing in Atlanta at Aisle 5 in mid-April.
I would go see, now that, I mean, the fact that you mentioned that it's those two bands kind of hybridizing into this, because those bands are exactly what I was describing. It's like there are gems that you experience, me personally, that I experience in those shows, because I'm not, they're faster at times. Lotus is and Dopapod is, and but super talented musicians, and they know how to groove. And like this song is a beautiful example of that, because this song would have to ride for anyone, that just hears it. I mean, your body's going to move to it naturally.
Right.
But thank you for telling me that, because that really shines new light.
Yeah, I'll send you the date. Maybe we can go on a date.
Hey.
Super funky, super cool, hard rides, very much support. That's it's interesting that it's the side project. It's kind of like obviously it's different types of music, but it's kind of like Yodo. Honestly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a similar type of thing. It's just those, because like I was telling Anthony, Dopapod doesn't make any music anymore, so I'm guessing this will probably be this guy's main project.
That makes sense.
Cool. Ride's
so my song, I sent a song, and the song that I picked,
no, don't take my bit,
was Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous by Good Charlotte. Little throwback tune for you guys. And the reason I picked this was because somebody posted on Threads, way too many of you guys have grown up screaming Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous to be bootlicking billionaires now. And man, is that so true? Lifestyles.
I thought that might be why you picked this, because I was really curious. Not that Threads post specifically, but just the general,
Yeah. So yeah, we're super anti-billionaire bootlicking on this podcast, if you didn't know. And Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous is that's the whole vibe of the song, So what did you guys think? Did it take you down memory lane a little bit?
Yeah, the wrong lane, unfortunately, because this song used to get on my nerves when I was younger, and so
bootlicker.
Yeah, no.
Anthony loves Elon, confirmed.
No, I didn't even see it that deeply at all. Only because I think when I listened to it, my very shallow-minded as a teenager, an angsty teenager that didn't really give a shit about Good Charlotte. But along the lines of our new rule, if it doesn't ride, it must die.
That was the opposite of the
ride. I
know. All right.
First off, Blake, that this is gonna get a rides for me. Like, this is my bread.
I thought that was a lock.
This is my that's a lock. But I mean, first off, you could play that kick drum tambourine combo any place, anytime. I'm gonna know exactly what's coming.
Yep.
It is Good Charlotte.
Yep.
But yeah, I love the lines like, well, did you know when you were famous you could kill your wife, and there's no such thing as 25 to life as long as you got the cash to pay for Cochran?
Another Johnny Cochran reference in this episode.
If you were caught and you were smoking crack, McDonald's wouldn't even want to take you back, but you could always run for mayor of D.C.
So good.
First off, I don't know if the mayor of D.C. did deserve that stray. I would like to know if that was an actual reference.
He smoked crack. Yeah,
I think he smoked crack.
I think he really did.
I think that's fair. I'll look that up, but yeah, that's definitely.
I think I've heard that rides.
Hell yeah, very nice.
How happy were you, Trey, when he sent you?
Oh, I was really happy. Okay, Marion Barry was captured on surveillance camera. Is smoking crack cocaine during a joint sting by the operation by the FBI and the DC police. So yeah,
nice.
That is true. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait a second. And then he ran again for mayor. He did actually.
Did he win?
I don't know. Hold on. Give me a second.
I hope he did.
Y'all move on. We'll move on to the next segment.
We got a portion of people that wanted to vote for him, but maybe couldn't vote because it's being convicted felon.
Personally, I would want to vote for him more.
How ballsy would you have to be convicted of that and then say, you know what, go for it?
Well, I mean, we got one in the White House right now, so apparently it's not super difficult.
He was elected again in mayor in 1994. He was mayor from 95 to 99. The song came out in 2002, so definitely a reference to Marion Barry, former mayor of DC.
There we go. Fuck yeah. A little history on the pod for you guys. All right. So our movie this week is it Inside Man or The Inside Man?
Just Inside Man.
Inside Man. And this was Anthony's movie pick. So tell us a little bit about it, Anthony. Give us the lowdown.
Yeah. So you mentioned when you picked, what was it? Italian Job, yeah. That you said we could do heist movies or just like put that thought out there, and I said I'm going to go with it. So initially, I wanted to pick The Score. The Score is an awesome heist movie, but it's too in line with Italian Job, so I wanted to go a different angle to it. So Inside Man naturally was one, and I had watched Inside Man a lot young, like 15 when it came out, and got the DVD. DVD has a Blockbuster watermark on it, and brings back a ton of memories. So Spike Lee movie, like I said, so it's a little bit different take. There's a little bit more his signature kind of like blended in it, some dark green tones, really good music. The last scene is just Spike Lee in its whole, the bedroom scene. But great movie. Thought it would be interesting to talk about and to bring to y'all's attention. So Blake and Trey, first time watching it, and what'd you think? Or was it the first time watching it?
So I thought I'd seen this movie before, but maybe, like, I guess either talking about DVDs, maybe we had the DVD growing up or something, and I just remember seeing the cover, but I had not seen it before. Excellent movie, kept me in it the whole time.
Fuck yeah!
Some big twists. I do want to say I knew when what's the guy's Arthur Chase. When he was like, I gotta get my safety deposit box. My head immediately was like, there's some Nazi shit in there. I don't know if it's just because of the current political climate. In my head, I was like, there's like a swastika in that bitch or something, because I just knew that was the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really great. I don't know how many Spike Lee joints I've seen. That's what he calls them. He calls them joints. And I get Spike Lee and Spike Jones mixed up a lot. They both have the name Spike. Yeah. So I do want to call that out. But yeah, I thought it was really good. The interview thing, like the cut scenes, and it was like, this isn't like what you think it might be. Like the whole time, like, this is weird. So something different is happening. Yeah, I loved it.
Fuck yeah.
So here's the thing. I'm a little confused.
Ask away.
What was their goal? Like, was it the diamonds? Was it to call him out for being a Nazi? Was it the ring? Because he left the ring. So what was the ultimate goal? Was it the diamonds? Because I'm still kind of confused on that.
I think the goal was the diamonds and the ring, knowing there was also going to be some blackmail involved in that. At the end, Clive Owen says, I'm not a martyr, meaning he wasn't going to, at least in my interpretation, that he wasn't going to go there to try to, showcase some shit somebody else has done and potentially get killed for it. I think his mission was always diamonds, the wealth. I mean, he says at the beginning, the why is for the money, of course. I think he says it of course, it's obvious, it's for the money. But there's so many twists and turns in this movie that it is hard to figure out motive. And it's hard to figure out, because Denzel has this backstory of he potentially was blackmailed for some shit. And then it comes out, it wasn't the case. And he was like, I'm fucking telling you guys this shit. But,
was Jodie Foster absolutely not. But was she still on the old guy's side at the end, or was she anti-old guy? I was also confused about that part. Like, she made it seem like she was mad, but then they were cracking jokes, so I couldn't catch a vibe on if she was still on his side at the end or what was going on there. Does anybody have any light on that?
Well, like in the barber shop is what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I think that's their last scene together. He offers to write her a check, to. It's like, you're going to keep this between us. And he's writing the check. And she's like, yeah, sure, Arthur. And then she just gets up and walks out. So
she takes the check.
Does she take the check?
Yeah, she takes
throws
the check.
The checkbook.
No, he throws his checkbook, but because she's like, "Oh, I'm getting an apartment for Osama bin Laden's son," or whatever she says, and then she's like, "I'm using you as a reference," and then he looks pissed. So I didn't know if it was a joke I wasn't in on, or like he was actually mad.
I think she was privy to the reality of what he was hiding in that safe deposit box. At first, I don't think she was totally aware of what it was. But then she finds out from Denzel's interaction, showing her the ring, I think at the dinner. I think that happens before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think ultimately it was just a fuck you to that guy. Like, you're going down on your own ship. I'm not going down with you. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, I thought, Denzel carried the show. He's fucking phenomenal. There's some, like, parts of it I really, like, were weird to me. Like, I really hated that camera thing they did. I don't know if it was jarring to you guys, too, but the scene where they kill somebody or they fake kill somebody, and then Denzel walks out of the trailer, and they do this weird zoom thing where it looks like he's not moving, but he is. I was like, what kind of weird gimmick is this? Also, one scene that really bothered me is when they get the pizzas, and look, I've never been in a hostage situation. I don't work for the NYPD, so I don't really know how these things go down. But there's a moment where they go to get the pizzas, and 3 out of the 4, and they know there's only 4 of them at this point. 3 out of the 4 bank robbers come out, and they're like 3 feet in front of them, kind of just like sitting there. And I was like, you're not going to attempt to do anything with this.
They don't know how many people are robbing it. They don't know who's a bank robber.
No, they knew at that point there was 4 of them. And 3 of them come out with guns and take the pizzas. So I'm like, why are you guys just like sitting here? Like, that scene was very weird to me.
All the hostages inside.
Yeah, I guess it just seems like bad hostage negotiation in my book.
You're talking about on the police department side? Yeah. There's a lot of things that could have been done differently in reality. I think from the side of the police or besides of the the authorities. But I think in reality there was just such a clusterfuck throughout that entire thing that eventually you hear the chief, let's just call him, say to Denzel, like, just bury it. No money was taken, no one was killed, just get rid of it. And Denzel's like, what the fuck? So there was a lot of slights at not corruption but just fucking incompetence potentially on the sides of the department.
I was trying to figure out if William Dafoe was Dafoe or DeFriend half the time. Like, I couldn't really tell. Right? Yeah, and he ended up being.
Could be.
He was DeFriend.
He was definitely DeFriend.
He's Dafoe.
Yeah. He was Dafoe at the beginning.
That's my only thing I disliked about this movie is that he wasn't Dafoe.
Yeah, but he played that character well.
He did.
He's awesome.
Because it's called Inside Man. So the whole time I'm like, all right, who's the guy? Like,
who's the inside man?
That? Oh, that's so interesting.
They never said the name of the movie in the movie.
That knocked it down a few points for me.
There
could have been a perfect opportunity to say, like, we need to get to our inside man.
Inside man.
Right. Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
But as a whole, like, I thought it was not bad. I think Spike Lee is kind of a not bad guy.
I know a couple other Spike Lee movies I've seen.
You should
Joints.
If you haven't.
Joints.
Excuse me.
That's my bad.
He Got Game. It's basketball Denzel, and it's really good. Let's see. 25th Hour has Edward Norton. I really loved that one. It's not like a hugely
all in on
one,
Edward Norton.
25th Hour has a dog and Edward Norton, and it's definitely worth watching.
Nice.
Any others, Trey, that stick out to you?
I'm looking right now. I don't think I've ever really seen
newer ones, Black Klansman and what's the
I've seen
military
Black Klansman.
one?
I like Black Klansman.
What's the military one? There's Miracle at St. Anna, which is an older one, but the newer military one, Defy Bloods. It's called Defy Bloods.
Defy Bloods.
Yeah, that one's pretty good too for a military
movie.
He's
doing an A24 film.
Interesting.
What's it called?
We have to like A24 films. If we don't like A24 films, then we're
you
not
don't know.
culture.
You don't know movies.
You know
yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
Do you know what it's called, Trey?
It's called Highest to Lowest.
Hell yeah!
Interesting.
It's in pre-production right now, I think. No, it's not. It's in post-production. It's scheduled to be released this year on Apple TV Plus.
which I refuse to subscribe to, so I'm gonna have to get that pirate, Anthony. All right. So, speaking of average directors, next week for the movie, we're sticking with a heist theme, and I'm gonna give you guys.
Speaking of average directors,
I'm gonna give you guys two choices, and they both involve our boy Zack Snyder.
Oh,
so
what?
We can either
You're doing this again. You can't shit for an hour next week. All right,
we're not gonna shit for an hour because both of them will lead to interesting conversations. Because I haven't decided whether or not I like these movies, so it's not like I'm going in like I hate this movie.
But it's a heist movie, so it's not.
So yeah, so the first one is Army of Dead.
Okay.
Which is a heist movie, or the sequel/prequel Army of Thieves. Now, Snyder did not direct Army of Thieves. I think he's only a producer. He did direct Army of the Dead, and I'm pretty sure he wrote it, which explains a lot. But I think it would be interesting topics. Because here's the thing. The premise of Army of Dead is really fucking cool. The cast is great. Like, there's a lot about the movie that really works, and there's a lot that doesn't, so I would like to talk about that. But Army of Thieves, I think, is honestly the better of the two. But if you guys haven't seen either, then you guys should pick which one you want to do.
I would like to pick Army of Dead.
Okay.
That's the first one. Yeah, I've seen them both, and I like them both.
I haven't seen either.
So spoiler alert. But yeah, I'm cool with watching the first one. If you haven't seen the first one, Trey, you should, and then you'll likely watch the second one. And they're both worth watching.
Army of Dead is the first one, right? Let's do the first one.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
right.
I like Dave Bautista. I just looked at the cast.
Yeah.
And that will
He's in Guardians of the Galaxy. So
that will conclude our heist saga, and then we'll have to switch to a new.
I like the theme though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Anthony has album. So what do you got for album, Anthony?
So I've been trying to think. We're gonna go 90s, and I'm between two albums, and I will give you guys the option, as Blake did. So I think one is 92, one maybe 93. So we have Blind Melon's first album, Shannon Hoon and Company, great album, self-titled, and we also have the first CD I ever bought, which was Hootie and the Blowfish Cracked Rear View. So you have those two options, and if you choose one and not the other, we'll do the other in the future for sure.
Okay, before you pick Trey, I have never listened to a single Hootie and the Blowfish song.
But I really like that Blind Melon album.
Here's the deal, Trey. If because we've been talking, behind the scenes of some ideas for future episodes. There's an amazing Shannon Hoon documentary that we could do with that in the future if we let Blake listen to Hootie with an open mind. Blake, you got to tone out everything because you've never heard them before. All right, you have to go back to 93.
All right.
Very young brained, and say this is what music was like then.
Okay. I would vote for the Blind Melon self-titled.
I love them both. So
yeah, I would go Blind Melon self-titled, but and it's no disrespect to Hootie, which you're not supposed to call him that. You're not. He gets
he did punch someone in the face for doing that.
He also got arrested recently, so
nice. Respect.
Yeah, he had ecstasy or something.
Well, do we want to flip? Do we want to flip a coin?
We can
do Anthony. I'll give you 5.
All right. Well, then I
would also love to watch a Shannon Hoon documentary.
That's what I really want to bring in the future for sure. So let's do this. Let's do Hootie for the sake of it. All right. And then Blind Melon in the pipeline. Well, that would be a solid episode. All I can say is the documentary, just so everyone can look it up.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Good plan. I will see you guys next week. Everybody else, we will see then. Bye.
Peace.